Ever wondered if current events in Jerusalem are aligning with ancient prophecies? Picture this. There's an ongoing intense conflict between Israel and Hamas, exactly as foretold in some biblical prophecies. The big question buzzing in everyone's mind: is this the moment the Messiah makes a grand entrance? Are these prophecies about to unfold, or could an unexpected twist bring peace instead? Let's unravel the clues and dive into the suspenseful anticipation gripping the world. In the Bible, it often talks about Jerusalem as a special city chosen by God. It's called the City of God, and it's seen as a holy place where God's presence is strong. According to the Bible, God wanted a temple to be built in Jerusalem, particularly on Mount Zion, as that would be the main spot where his presence would be felt. This special choice of Jerusalem is highlighted in passages like 2 Chronicles chapter 6, verse 6, where Solomon says that God picked Jerusalem as the place where his name should be, and Psalm chapter 132, verse 13 to 14, which says God chose Zion as his home and wants to be there forever. The creation of modern Israel was significantly shaped by the suffering and persecution endured by millions of Jewish people during World War II, especially in the Holocaust. This devastating experience, along with the longing for a secure homeland, led to stronger backing for the idea of forming a Jewish state. Following World War II, Jewish communities were spread out in different places, known as the Jewish diaspora or dispersion. This dispersion played a crucial role in the development of modern Israel by sparking the emergence of the Zionist movement, which championed the establishment of a dedicated Jewish homeland. After the Holocaust, survivors, in particular, believed that Europe was not a viable future for Jews and looked for a place where they wouldn't be a vulnerable minority. Many Jewish immigrants moved to Palestine in significant numbers, playing a crucial role in shaping modern Israel. These immigrants brought a wide range of skills, knowledge, and experiences with them, which greatly impacted the development of Israel's infrastructure, economy, culture, and society. From a religious perspective, some believers see the establishment of modern Israel as a spiritual renewal for the Jewish people. They view it as the fulfillment of God's promises, a sign of the chosen people returning to their faith. The connection between the creation of Israel and religious beliefs is strengthened by interpretations of biblical prophecies. For example, passages like Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 1 to 14 symbolize God breathing life into a valley of dry bones, representing the revival and reunification of the scattered Israelites. Other prophecies in Jeremiah and Isaiah talk about God gathering his people from all nations, bringing them back to their land, and promising forgiveness, a close relationship, and prosperity. Moreover, the establishment of modern Israel is seen as the realization of God's covenant with Abraham, where he pledged the land of Canaan to Abraham and his descendants as an everlasting possession. Jerusalem holds a crucial role in various biblical prophecies concerning Israel. For instance, Zechariah chapter 8, verse 3 states that God will return to Zion and dwell in Jerusalem, underlining the city's importance in fulfilling God's plan for Israel. The Bible also predicts that Jerusalem will be a focal point in the end times. It foretells that nations will attack Jerusalem and the Antichrist will demand worship in the city, signaling the preparations for the end of the age and the awaited return of the Lord. Additionally, the Bible indicates that Jerusalem will play a central role in future events, contributing to the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 3 to 4 prophesies that the Lord will fight against nations, and his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives before Jerusalem during these significant times. In history, Jerusalem became profoundly important during the reigns of David and Solomon. Mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, this city holds significant reverence in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The Temple Mount, a focal point in Jerusalem, is considered the holiest place on earth and the third holiest site in Islam. The link between Jerusalem, Israel, and religious beliefs underscores the importance of this historic and sacred land in the hearts and minds of believers. Some ponder whether ancient prophecies are unfolding through the restoration of Israel's barren land and the potential rebirth of the Third Temple. Numerous prophecies about Jerusalem and the people of Israel exist, some fulfilled, some partially fulfilled, and others yet to be realized. The fulfillment of the biblical prophecy regarding the transformation of once barren land into a fruitful one is evident in the Old Testament's promises of abundance and prosperity for the people of Israel. Zechariah's prophecy in Zechariah chapter 8, verse 12, which foretells the land's fertility with the words, "The seed will grow well, the vine will yield its fruit, the ground will produce its crops," has seen realization. Israel, once barren and desolate, has overcome challenges posed by its arid climate and limited water resources through advancements in agricultural practices. The country has emerged as a global leader in agricultural technology, employing sophisticated irrigation systems, such as drip irrigation, to maximize crop yields while minimizing water usage. Research and development efforts have resulted in the creation of drought-resistant crops and varieties that require less water, contributing to increased productivity and water conservation. Water management strategies, including desalination to address water scarcity by converting seawater into usable water, as well as land reclamation projects and soil improvement techniques, have rehabilitated previously unproductive areas, transforming them into fertile agricultural land. The progress made in agriculture and the grading of the land can be seen as a realization of these prophecies. Another significant biblical prophecy about Israel that has been partly fulfilled is the reconstruction of the Third Temple. This is based on passages found in various books of the Bible, particularly Ezekiel and Daniel. Ezekiel provides a detailed vision of a future temple in chapters 40 to 48. The prophet receives a divine revelation outlining the measurements, design, and splendor of this temple. It is described as a magnificent structure where God's presence will dwell among his people. Similarly, the book of Daniel mentions the desecration and subsequent restoration of a future temple. In Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, a ruler is mentioned who will make a covenant but later cease sacrifices and offerings. Many also interpret this as a reference to the desecration of a future temple. These prophecies have sparked discussions and expectations regarding the rebuilding of the Third Temple. They outline the significance of this temple as a place of worship where God's covenant with his people can be fully observed. Some also view the temple's reconstruction as a crucial sign of the imminent arrival of the Messiah, as prophesied by Hebrew prophets. The Third Temple holds great religious significance for Jews and Christians. It is seen as a symbol of redemption and a central place for worship, allowing Jews to uphold their covenant with God fully. After the destruction of the First and Second Temples by the Babylonians in 586 BCE and the Romans in 70 CE, which was a significant loss for the Jewish people, there has been anticipation of the Third Temple, due to specific biblical prophecies in Christianity. Interpretations of the Third Temple vary. Some consider the building of the Third Temple significant in Christian eschatology about the end times. The New Testament teaches that the new covenant is marked by the indwelling of the Holy Spirit in believers, making every believer's body and gatherings of believers a temple. Therefore, some Christians believe the need for a physical Third Temple is diminished or superseded. In Judaism, the First and Second Temples were central to religious life, serving as the place where God resided. Rebuilding the temple represents a return to spiritual completeness and fulfilling biblical prophecies for Orthodox and conservative Jews. The Third Temple is seen as a crucial aspect of their faith connected to beliefs in the Messiah. There are differing views within Judaism regarding the construction of the Third Temple. Theological beliefs connect its construction to eschatology and messianic expectations. Many Jewish traditions anticipate that the coming of the Messiah will coincide with the rebuilding of the temple, restoring Israel's sovereignty, gathering all Jews to their homeland, and rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem as a sign of redemption and ultimate peace. However, others argue that the temple can be constructed by human effort. The Third Temple is also associated with reinstating sacrifices according to ancient Jewish rituals described in the Torah. These sacrifices are believed to provide atonement for sins and serve as acts of worship. Their resumption is viewed as a sign that the Third Temple will be built. However, there is a challenge that may either stop or delay the rebuilding of the Third Temple. The construction carries significant political implications, involving changing the status quo on the Temple Mount Haram al-Sharif complex. This area holds religious importance for both Jews and Muslims, potentially leading to tensions and conflicts between these two communities. The Dome of the Rock and the proposed Third Temple are two significant religious and historical sites in Jerusalem, sources of conflict and debate. To prevent violence, a status quo arrangement was reached, with Israel having overall security control, while Jordan's Islamic Waqf manages day-to-day affairs at the site. Throughout history, there have been disputes about the claim that the Temple Mount in Jerusalem was the location of the first and second Jewish temples. These disputes stem from a combination of religious and political factors. During the early Islamic period, Muslim scholars debated the precise site of the Jewish temples. Some believed the temples were on the Temple Mount, while others held differing opinions. One notable example is the case of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, who commissioned the construction of the Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount. Some historians argue that this construction was a deliberate effort to assert Islamic dominance over Judaism and Christianity by appropriating their sacred sites. This suggests there may have been a deliberate denial or downplaying of the Jewish connection to the Temple Mount during this period. The argument about whether or not the Temple Mount was the location of the previous temple continued until something catastrophic happened. After a powerful earthquake struck Jerusalem, the Al-Aqsa Mosque suffered significant damage. Excavations by British archaeologist Robert Hamilton revealed evidence of the Second Temple on the Temple Mount, including a staircase, a well-preserved mikveh, coins from the Second Temple period, and remains of a Byzantine mosaic. Despite these historical and archaeological findings, the text does not definitively state whether Islam would vacate the Temple Mount for the Jews to build the Third Temple. The groundwork for the reconstruction of the Third Temple began with the establishment of the Temple Institute in Jerusalem. This organization is dedicated to studying and preparing for the eventual reconstruction of the temple. Their efforts have focused on researching and accurately recreating the sacred vessels and instruments necessary for temple service, following the exact specifications mentioned in ancient Jewish texts. One notable accomplishment of the Temple Institute is the creation of a replica of the Golden Menorah, a 7-branch candelabrum used in the Second Temple. Additionally, they have constructed a replica of the golden altar for burning incense, a table of showbread representing the 12 tribes of Israel, a copper laver for ceremonial washing, and the high priest's garments. Preparations also involve breeding red heifers without blemish, required for purification rituals preceding the construction of the Third Temple. Recently, the Temple Institute reenacted the water libation ceremony as performed in ancient times, led by Rabbi Yisrael Ariel and other esteemed rabbis. The event took place in Jerusalem's Old City. Participants, dressed in priestly garments, carried musical instruments and reenacted the ceremony, expressing their longing for the day when the temple will be rebuilt. Regarding a terrifying prophecy about Israel, the text mentions prophecies from the books of Daniel, 2 Thessalonians, and Revelation concerning the role of the Antichrist in the end times. The Antichrist is depicted as an influential and deceitful figure opposing God and seeking global dominion. Prophecies indicate that the rise of the Antichrist will occur amidst a world in turmoil, with the Antichrist presenting himself as a charismatic leader offering peace and stability. The Antichrist will perform extraordinary signs and miracles, gaining widespread influence and support. He will establish a single global government, demand worship from all individuals, and persecute believers. This period, known as the Great Tribulation, is characterized by intense suffering and spiritual deception. Prophecies suggest that the Antichrist will initially make a covenant or treaty with Israel, but ultimately break it, leading to unparalleled distress for the nation. The ongoing conflict between Israelis and Hamas is briefly mentioned, but the text does not specify the most recent terrifying prophecy about Israel or its implications. It emphasizes the fulfillment of biblical prophecies in Israel and encourages readiness for the return of the Messiah. That's all for today. To sum it up, people have different opinions about building the Third Temple. Some Christians think it's crucial for the end times, while others believe it's not necessary. For Jews, it holds deep spiritual meaning, connected to their faith and the Messiah. But building the temple is tricky, because it involves changing things on the Temple Mount, a place sacred to both Jews and Muslims. The Dome of the Rock and the proposed Third Temple are important, and there's a history of disputes. There's evidence, like from archaeological findings, suggesting the location of the previous temple. Jews have been getting ready for the Third Temple, even reenacting ancient ceremonies. And there is going to happen the coming of Antichrist, causing trouble in the end times, creating global chaos. Recent events, like conflicts in Israel, make some people think these prophecies are happening. If you found this informative, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll keep exploring these topics in simple terms. Thanks for being part of our learning journey.